Hi, I'm going to my Year 6 farewell tonight. I have my bag and I'm really excited, so bye.
The young girl is dead and the circumstances are tragic.
Charlotte's suicide shocked the country.
She was 12 years old.
They had made group chats and they were calling her fat and ugly and told her to go kill herself.
There's been another case since. It continues to happen. Today, with social media, they get no rest.
This issue is worse than 12 years ago.
One of the toxic friends said, "You didn't take enough pills, you didn't try hard enough." How's that for a friend?
Persistent targeting of an individual so that their life becomes unbearable.
The first time I met Matt and Kelly was not long after Charlotte had passed. They came into the office to do an interview. They talked about how for 2 years Charlotte had a lot of bullying, which had been escalating over the last few months to the point of Charlotte not wanting to go to school, seeing a counsellor and scratching literally the skin off her arms because she had so much anxiety about being around this group of girls. We were honoured to be invited to Matt and Kelly's home. We were there to see Kelly receive the bear Charlie, who now contains Charlotte's ashes.
Charlotte's home.
Guess what? He's gone to bed now. It's just you and me.
You see that? That's why he loved me more. You see?
I knew in real time how lucky I was to have my relationship with Charlotte. From the moment she was born, we just had this undeniable love. She was a cheerleader from young. She cheerleaded for the West Tigers and for a local cheer team at Concord. She was so grateful, so generous, so kind, so loving, and we told each other every day how much we meant to each other.
And this is her room.
Look at that beautiful butterfly. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Everyone matters every day. She's very thoughtful, isn't she, for a young girl?
Yeah.
The last 10 weeks of Charlotte's life were dramatically different. The car rides home, I could see something was wrong. And I said, "Sweetie, I can see you're not okay, but when you're ready to talk, I'm here." And she just burst into tears. And she said, "I'm a monster, I'm a monster, everybody hates me, everybody's so mean to me, I'm a monster." And then it got to the point where she was crying in the mornings before school, so distressed. And I emailed the school to let them know she was too distressed. She'd been coming home from school every day in tears. And they said 2 people would contact me who didn't. I found out after she passed that she was hiding in toilets and, you know, just so afraid, but she didn't tell me. She didn't tell me the extent, but I still made phone calls and sent emails and, you know, she'd get in the car and she'd say, "Mummy, I just need an upstander. Everybody's bystanders and no one will stand up for me." I don't blame the kids at all because we can't put that pressure on them. But once adults have been notified, they need to stand up. They need to be the upstanders. They need to do better.
You spoke a little bit before about the day off, that you didn't see it, she was happy.
Happiest she'd been in a long time. You know, she wasn't crying coming home from school, and that was a big plus. You know, she'd had a favourite dinner. We sat down and did some work for about an hour and a half of that, and she did brilliant. You know, she was getting up doing little happy dances.
We had the best last day with her. I was sitting on the couch with Will and it was about 7:40 and she came down and grabbed a towel. I said, "Oh, you still haven't had a shower yet?" She said, "Nope." And then she came over to the couch and she was playing with Will and saying, "Who's Charlie's boy? Who's Charlie's boy? I love you, Willie." And she gave us both a kiss goodnight. And then she stopped at the baby gate. She said, "Love you, Willie, good night." And she skipped off to bed.
So Kelly and Matt knew the trouble she was having at school, but then thought once she was home, she was happy playing with her little brother. Little did they know that the bullying was continuing online and there was no escape.
We still really wouldn't even know because it's just that I found that note and it said that she wanted Ava to come to her funeral and another person and invite them on Snapchat, and we were like, we didn't know. And then Ava told us that her last minutes were really horrendous.
Ava is Charlotte's friend. They spoke online regularly. She would talk to her about bullying. On the night she died, Ava was the last person to talk to Charlotte.
On the night of, she was sad, so I called her and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And that's when she told me that there was a group chat being made about her, and she was like telling me how they were calling her fat and ugly and told her that she should go kill herself. And then I was like, "That's not true, like you're not none of those, like don't believe them." And she was like still crying. She said to me she was gonna go have a shower, that she'll call me back in 5 minutes. So I waited that 5 minutes and then I just got, "I'm sorry."
Because in the morning I let her sleep in a little bit. And when I went upstairs, she was gone.
Suicide is the leading cause of death in young people. 17% of young people between the ages of 14 and 17 have thought about taking their own life. For every child that dies from suicide, an estimated 200 try to take their own lives but survive. Youth suicides have nearly doubled since the iPhone was introduced.
And I'm only fighting for her and for all the other children because she left me instructions. And she said, "Mama, share my story to raise awareness." I'm not gonna stop.
What has made Charlotte's death headline news around Australia is the remarkable efforts of her parents to get on the front foot in the aftermath of her death and to push for change. And they've got that with the social media reform.
Social media is doing social harm to our young Australians. My government's world-first decision to legislate 16 as the minimum age to use social media.
But they say it's not enough, especially for kids like their daughter. They believe more needs to be done and a national standard needs to be set for how schools deal with incidents of bullying in the playground and then when kids go home at night.
Today we're on our way down to Sussex Inlet. We're going to see Courtney Love's mother. Courtney took her own life 12 years ago. She was just 15. Hello. Back 12 years ago, I interviewed a mum. Her name's Ness Love. Her daughter Courtney was a schoolgirl at Kiama High School. She was suffering from a lot of bullying, so she reached out to draw attention to the bullying at school and to get something done, and again, it wasn't.
She used to call herself Corky because she could never say Courtney when she was little.
When you heard about Charlotte's passing, you said to me, sure, your blood was boiling.
It was. Because why? Why is this happening 12 years down the track? Why is my heart breaking for these parents, for Charlotte's parents? This issue is worse than 12 years ago. Why aren't schools taking people seriously when parents contact them like Charlotte's mum did? There's a little girl, not here anymore. She'd had a lot of bullying at school. I went up to that school multiple times with the deputy principal, and every time they'd say we'd sort it out. In the inquest into my daughter's death, the principal stood up on that stand and he said, we didn't even know she had mental health issues. And I got up and walked out. Because they did.
Yeah.
They 100% knew.
I'll admit I was shocked when I learnt that in Australia it is down to each school's discretion as to how they deal with incidents of bullying. What we have in Australia is a lot of policy, a lot of rhetoric and a lot of studies that have been done, but most of it's outdated. Professor Ian Hickey is one of the leading voices on young people and education in Australia, and it's his work that most state governments have used to advise them on their bullying policy, which he says do not go far enough to address the problem.
What we've known for more than 20 years is the real toxicity of bullying of young people, of teenagers, which classically starts in the schoolyard, on long-term mental health. What we've seen during that same period is worsening mental health in young people, and in recent years the extent to which new forms of bullying associated with social media and new technologies has really accelerated those trends.
So Corinne was a 13-year-old girl who lived in far north Queensland with her family. Come school days, she didn't want to leave the house because she was the subject of intense bullying at school and online. Parents went to the school, asked for help, and nothing was done. She died by suicide.
And you've got her here in a butterfly?
Yeah, she comes everywhere with us. I noticed she had deep laceration cuts way up here. She freely told me that she does it because people frustrate her.
What was she telling you that the kids at the school were doing?
So apparently they were giving her a hard time in places that weren't to be seen. So at the bottom of the steps, in the toilets, calling her an ugly rat, pushing her around. And I hadn't sent her to school for nearly a month. I got onto the school, I gave the office a call, the principal asked for a meeting, but she kept putting it off. The only time I got a message or a call was asked, why Corinne's not at school? I'm like, I've told you why she's not at school. Like, I'm not sending my daughter to school, no. But within the month, and then when I noticed like the tantrum started to get worse, I booked her straight in. Her GP in Cairns, they did a health plan for her to go have counselling, but then within the 7 days, she was gone.
Was that quick?
It was that quick. People just need to realise that their words hurt. That's why we've set up her foundation after she passed. We do it all out of our own expense. It's a family operated thing by myself, her nan, her dad, her siblings.
So Lauren was a 12-year-old girl living in Wagga in country New South Wales. On Mother's Day, she told her mum she just wanted to go for a walk and she never came home. They found her body the next day.
Is it hard watching them back, or is it comforting?
It's both.
Yeah.
She's funny.
This is my throne. Bow down to me.
Such a lovely, happy girl.
How about the day? I know it was Mother's Day. Is that harder for you because it was Mother's Day?
Absolutely. I am that mum. I've done a lot of research into why people take their lives on significant days.
Yeah.
What I've found is they do it so that they can be remembered. As if I wouldn't remember her. The very next day after her funeral,
The police knocked on my door at 11 a.m. and I was just getting to bed, and they gave me a redacted copy of her note. I did ask coroner if I could have the complete note several times, and a final letter I have states that those children should not be named because we cannot have any more children hurting themselves, and I just don't think that's a solution. One of the feedback from some of the kids that knew about her attempts was that she tried ODing, and then one of the toxic friends said, "Oh, you didn't take enough pills, you didn't try hard enough." How's that for a friend?
How important is it that the states step up and put the pressure on the federal government like they have with the social media initiatives?
The principal regulation or the capacity to act in our system relies at the state level. So you must have state premiers lead the process and agree. And more importantly, they're implemented and investigated at the state level, but it requires a national agreement and it requires national funding support.
What do you think the standards could look like?
It's completely heartbreaking. Parents feel that they're helpless, the kids feel vulnerable, they want to make a decision about it, and there's a role for the state here. I think if we can get what works at schools that really have a focus on this, that have put resources into it, understand what the responsibilities are for parents and teachers, but also for students. Maybe it'll take a while to get a nationally consistent approach, but let's see if we can get one across the sectors in our state. That's the model I'd like to pursue, but if we get a good national model that we think is going to work across jurisdictions, let's go for it.
For 50 years we've spoken to the bullies about being bullies. How about we talk to the adults about breaking it up and making some real change?
She didn't want it to happen to anyone else. And I don't want it to happen to anyone else.
She's found a brave friend in you, hasn't she?
Bonnie, who is her cousin, my mum was telling me how when the police called her, Bonnie ran out screaming, "It was the bullies, it was the bullies, it was the bullies." And she's a 11-year-old girl, just turned 12.
So did Charlotte tell you anything about the trouble she was having at school?
She was telling me that she got bullied.
Did she?
She told me that she was getting bullied from her appearance and like her skin colour, and she had a mole on her neck, and she'd cry in the library and the toilets because she didn't want to get bullied anymore.
That's okay.
It's alright. She told me, remember I told you that she told me, and I told the school.
It may only be a few words or a momentary action, but to someone else, it can feel like a lifetime of pain. Bullying isn't just about the hurtful things we say or do. It's the lasting damage left on a person's sense of self, their belief in their worth, and their ability to feel safe in the world. We all have the power to break that cycle. We can choose to be the ones who stand up, who speak kindness instead of cruelty, and who reach out when someone feels alone. In every act of compassion, we can rebuild what was once broken. The choice is ours to be the change.